know when we come in here and we do book club or whatever, because we do hybrid, it's really slow. So I make sure I come in and get it started really early. So it takes.
Well, I wasn't here early.
No, that's what I mean, right? It's just really slow all the way around. I don't know why.
Well, I think it needs to update that part of it.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like a little circle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. We got it.
What does that mean?
All right. We're good to go.
All right, 5:38, we'll call this meeting to order. We have a lot of people. Do we want to do introductions?
Especially we have a new council person.
Yes, absolutely. I'll start off. I'm Jason Gerwin, Chair of the Board.
I'm Sylvia Allen, Board Member.
Alan Billingsley, Board Member.
Peter Yakubasi, Board Member.
Dennis Gas, board member.
Nikki York, Office Assistant for the Parks Department.
Vanessa McClendon, Board Member.
Debbie Washburn, Office Assistant for the Lakewood Senior Activity. Mary Doddsworth, Director.
Don Anderson, Council Liaison.
I'm Elizabeth Scheiden. I'm a recreation coordinator and I'm the coordinator of the Lakewood Senior Activity.
Mike Lackady, Board Member.
Everybody. Very proud. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Michael.
yeah.
You didn't forget him.
Yeah, easy to forget me, isn't it?
All right, with that said, we have approval of the October 25th minutes. I would entertain a motion. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes on October 25th. Vito with the first, Alan with the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, unanimous approval. Street continues. We have no public comments. We roll right into new business, and Elizabeth's going to give us a senior program update. Oh, Elizabeth and Debbie.
Yeah.
Some of these videos, What's that? Okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't do anything real fancy. It's just kind of basic. Thank you. So Debbie and I coordinate the Lakewood Senior Activity Center. And one of the reasons why we call it the Lakewood Senior Activity Center, and we're specific about that, is first of all, it is an activity center. So back in the day, senior centers were more like, more like your grandmother's senior center, where it's cheap meals, bingo, and cards. Well, it's really evolved since then, and if you don't evolve with that, then you're not going to have a successful senior center. The other thing, too, is I like that it starts with Lakewood because that represents our area, even though we have people from all over that come and participate in our activities, is the word senior has some stigma to it, especially a lot for the baby boomers and those folks coming up. So Lakewood Senior Activity Center, if you look at senior centers around Puget Sound area, King County, Pierce County, a lot of them have taken the word senior out of there. So that's why Lakewood Senior Activity Center, and sometimes people will say Lakewood Senior Center. I'm like, oh no, that's Lakewood Senior Activity Center. Just because it is really important, even though it seems like a little thing.
Enter the arrow.
Okay. All right. So after COVID hit, and it's funny because I was looking back at some of these pictures, one of the things that we started right away was our drive-through events. And you can see one of our first drive-through events, we have grab sticks that we're actually handing the items to. So what people would do is they would drive up over here by the fountain, and we would, give them our item, like a nice goodie or whatever. And usually, like for the holidays, 2 years ago, we made ornaments that said, "We miss you." And those are sponsored by Family Resource Home Care. And you can see there where we're not using the grab sticks anymore, but we still have our masks. We work with West Paris Fire and Rescue. Sometimes we will work with ADRC, which is the Aging and Long-Term Care of Pierce County. They will come and provide some of their resources. And so we've kind of evolved a little bit. Here we are standing close together without masks. We have Margaret from Family Resource Home Care who provides the goodies. And we always do a theme. You can see, like, we have Valentine's Day there. We have St. Patrick's Day. And those are two folks from the library. And that has been great because our seniors use the library regularly. And so they're able to provide resources to them. We have the pop-up library here now, which actually quite a few of our seniors have been using. And the seniors have a lot of questions about what is going to be happening with the library. So that's been a nice addition into our partnerships. One of the other things that we started right away was our Zoom happy hour. And so you can see, like, on the bottom square, we started with some of our classes meeting via Zoom. Like, that is an exercise class there.
What am I doing up there?
I will tell you in a minute.
We had Zoom for just a couple of times, and then I didn't see it anymore.
Oh, we've been doing it, and we still do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I missed it today.
So.
Oh, all right. I'll go back and check for it again.
You know what? Send me an email, and I'll make sure you have the link.
Okay.
Okay? And so you can't see it, but up in the corner, that was from our oil painting Zoom. So we did like a show and tell. People would come in and, well, not come in, I shouldn't say it that way. They would
Log on,
and they would show what they've been painting on. And one thing that was really good about that, too, was that a lot of people kind of put things aside. They didn't want to paint, they didn't want to do this, they didn't want to do that. And the way we presented it is you can come and do Zoom, show us what you're working on. You know, and if you haven't been working on, pick up that paintbrush, you know, let's see. But if you haven't been painting, that's okay, come join your friends. We would also have guests for Zoom. So on occasion, Annette would come in and maybe teach us how to make a holiday pie or something like that. And so that, we didn't actually join her on the waterfront, but that was a promo picture.
I thought you were saying you guys painted that picture. I was like, what are you doing?
Well, actually, I painted it. It's one of the things that I learned during COVID. No. If I painted a picture of you, I'm sorry, honey, but it wouldn't look that good. And we have an employee here who's done, I don't know, like 60 dog rescues. So she came in and she logged on and talked about her dog rescues. So we
That was
had,
super interesting.
it's really interesting. We had somebody that logged on and talked to us about animal communication. And that was fascinating. Yes. So we did a lot of things. We played games. We shared different things. We had Zoom earlier today, and we were talking about holiday traditions. And one of the ladies said, well, you know, when did everybody make their first turkey when they were married? I said, wait a minute, you have to be married to make a turkey? Yeah. And we just laugh about a lot of things. One thing that's kind of cool, too, is on that top picture, underneath Rudy in that corner, that's my mom. And so she lives in Vancouver. And so she would occasionally join us, too.
And I'll tell you what's funny is I used to live in Oregon, so I joined them a couple times. And the place that I worked in Oregon, Elizabeth's mom used to go there, and so the maintenance guy was walking through, and he was like, I know that lady!
Isn't that crazy? Small world, yeah. And we have a Zoom tutor, and so actually she's right there, down on the bottom of the screen there. And so she has helped a number of people with Zoom, whether it was to join our group. One thing I will say is that older adults, even prior to COVID, do have some technical skills. Of course, not all of them, but I think sometimes they get the short end of the stick where they don't have those skills. And definitely that's something that has been a benefit of COVID, is that not only has everybody learned more technical skills, but the older adults have too. Helps them connect to their families and whatnot. One of the other things that we started right away was we called it Just a Walk in the Park. You can see where we're wearing masks there. And the one on the top left was a themed walk. It didn't work as well because you can see we're so far apart. So Mary was presenting on the history of the park and that, but we just couldn't hear each other, and so it didn't work as well. But we're looking at exploring some of that again this spring. When the weather's better, we'll still walk, but the themed walk, so that we can stand closer together. We don't have the mask, and so that we can hear better. So we continue to do these walks, rain or shine, unless there's high winds, snow, ice, or the day that it was 150 degrees. We didn't walk on that day. So we've just created a lot of good friendships, and people, it's not like we all walk together. We just ask that you at least walk with one person, and so we go in 2 or 3, and it is really getting more popular. We're getting a lot more new folks. One of the things that we tried to at the beginning was a walk with Fido, because at our regular walks, we don't allow folks to bring dogs. Not everybody likes dogs. They might be allergic to dogs, or we don't know if it's going to be an aggressive dog. But I was the only one who showed up. So, but it might be something we try down the road. Things are really changing as far as the type of programs that people are looking for and wanting to do, and it will continue to change because we've just evolved as a society. So we have to do some of the things we used to do, some of the things that we're doing now, and look to the future and see how we're going to evolve. Here's our Naughty Knitters, and so we actually started that on Zoom. This is a really big group. We go into council chambers in the lobby there. Hand me my prop, please. And so the guy there, sometimes people will wear masks still. So he has made almost 400 of these puppets in the matter of 2 months, 3 months?
Within a couple months.
Yeah, just a couple of months, and we're going to be handing these out at the parade. So they work on their own projects, or they knit hats for preemie babies. It's a great social group. They do knitting, crocheting. They help each other out. If they've made a mistake, somebody else will take it out for them and give it back to them. Or we have such a variety of skills that if somebody doesn't know how to do something, they can share their talent there. So we have lots of other programs that we're doing and continuing to do. We have the Happy Bookers, and the Naughty Knitters, which I did, make sure that those names were okay. Our Happy Bookers, the book club never stopped meeting. Whether it was on Zoom, we do a hybrid program. I think this month, still November, we had 12 people in person, and one person joined us hybrid. So we work with Pierce County Library to get the books, and that has been great. Men's Coffee, we started meeting at the police station, and now we meet here. Every once in a while we'll have a guest speaker, but we don't have a guest speaker every time because that's the men's time to socialize. And I think it's really important, too, that we have men's coffee because typically men are less social than women. And so we have the men's coffee where they can come and hang out and they feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. A few years ago, some of the ladies were like, well, how come you have a men's coffee and you don't have a ladies' coffee? So we tried something like that, and no one showed up. But we did try it.
It is ladies' coffee.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was thinking, right, Vanessa? We have SHEBA, which is State Health Insurance Benefits Advisors. Right now it's open enrollment. And so we have a gal, she is amazing. So she'll come in, and we have appointments for the older adults to meet with her. And we'll continue that. We'll take probably a couple months off because after open enrollment, then we don't get a lot of appointments. We have Brain Games. And Brain Games is not for folks that have dementia or memory loss. It's for me, you, everybody in this room. It's for us to keep our brains sharp. We play all sorts of different games. We did it via Zoom for a while, which is very was not easy to do that, but Debbie's really good at it and worked her magic. So we do that in person. We're looking in January, adding some additional sessions of that because it's gotten to be very popular. We have our photography club, and that will also be evolving in January. Probably well before COVID, we had moved it from a class to a club, and they want to go back to a class format. So we're looking at finding an instructor and having that meet as a class. The AARP driver safety course, is finally back to going in person. So some of these folks, like the AARP and the Alzheimer's Adult Children Caring for Parents with Memory Loss, some of the organizations that we partner with, we're not allowed to go back in person until like January of this year. And so we've been able to add some things. The Alzheimer's Adult Children Caring for Parents with Memory Loss, that's not a spouse group. That is for people with memory loss. Like, for example, my mom is in the early stages of memory loss because it's a different type of relationship. And there's just not as many of this type of support groups out there. Debbie is kind of our, she has a lot of resources and works a lot with our Alzheimer's groups, and she's done a really good job with that. We're doing quite a few holiday socials, which we'll be adding more of socials, not just for holidays, but for different things. One of the things that we did right away was start a phone tree, and we still do some of that, where we have somebody that calls a particular group. Some people don't like to be called anymore. Why are you still calling me? So we've modified that a little bit. We still utilize a lot of volunteers. We have volunteers that help us with our knitting group, with our book club is run by volunteers. We are doing a project for the tree lighting with some volunteers. We're really good at partnerships anyhow, but we've developed that more. We also do quite a bit of networking. We have been going to some socials, and since health fairs and some of those things are coming back, and they're coming back in person, Debbie and I have been to a handful of those recently this fall. We go to socials with the Pierce County healthcare providers. And also, somebody had sent me, this is a funny story, a networking opportunity. And so I said, hey, Debbie, let's go to this. And I didn't really pay that much attention to it. So the day that we were going to go, Debbie's like, did you see that that's for millennials that work with older adults? I'm like, what? I said, seriously? So I looked at it again. I'm like, oh, man. So the gal Margaret, you saw a picture of her for her drive-through, she's the one who sent it to me. I said, are you going to this? Because she's our age. And so she's like, oh, yeah. So Debbie and I, we go to the place down on the waterfront. We're like, well, if we're just going to, keep walking if it doesn't look, But we did. And it was really cool. The first time we met with them was a little awkward, because we're a little older than millennials. But there are millennials that work with older adults. So it was kind of cool because we're working with millennials, and we're more of the seasoned folks that work with older adults. So it's been...
Or as they call you,
older adults.
All right, moving on.
They say they're working with you, too.
Nessa. I've known Nessa for, 25, 30 years. All right, we're not to the question part yet. So we have a great grant that we get $21,000 each year. It's now a 4-year grant. It was a 2-year grant, and I think we're 2 years into it. They just changed the way it works. A really cool thing is that they, believe it or not, had some additional money, and so they're like, okay, we have some additional money. Well, would you like to maybe have some, and what would you like it for? And could you give us the information right now?
Yeah.
So Debbie and I were like, yeah. So we set up a couple different options, and they help to offset Debbie's salary. So we just, 2 days ago, was that last Friday? Yeah, last Friday, a few days ago, we're gonna get an extra $9,300 from that.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, so that was a nice surprise. And you betcha, we could pull it together very shortly. Yeah.
You'll be the first to know. You know, it's really great because we've been doing all of these things, and, you know, previously, and you probably mentioned this right before I came in, is we had fee-based programs and low-cost programs and free programs, and so, like we do all through Parks and Recreation, you know, we have a variety of resources to help offset the operation. If you have some fee-based programs, your art, your exercise, your computer, those things, it can help you support those low to no-cost programs. So we do that throughout the organization. We've been doing an awful lot of just programs to keep people connected. And so with that loss of revenue, you know, we have a cost recovery model. We'll talk about that with the budget. So those grants, that, you know, they're only going to give them to us if we're really out there doing the work and serving. And they're quite rigorous when it comes to the justification for it. So the fact that they called us last minute knowing that we're a good agency, we're providing great resources, we're just, you know, we're able to do the accounting and the whatever to show that it's a good bang for their buck, you know, that says a lot about the program that we have and that we continue to have during the difficult times. So that's awesome because it does help, I guess, continue our operations well to do that good work that we're doing, so.
And we work a lot, this is with Pierce County Aging and Disability Services that we get the grant from. And I know in the past that there have been a couple of senior centers or whatever that didn't pass their audit or whatever. And it is a very rigorous process, and we have to do several reports and stuff, but Debbie and I work really well together on that, and we just have amazing partnership. So we have been doing some other things as well. We've been helping with special events. You can see here for Trails Day, Debbie and I painted a lot of rocks. And I thought, oh yeah, this will be a great idea. Well, just painting the rocks, the base color, took quite a bit of time. So what we did is we went and looked geographically where the parks are located. And so we picked parks that would cover a wide variety of neighborhoods and locations geographically. So then we went and hid the rocks. And you can see so the rocks came in that little netting, and so that's how we hid our Spider-Man rocks. It was pretty cool.
Nice, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and we help with the 25th anniversary. We help at the market. We help with the street fairs. We help with lots of events. And you know, the farmers market and the street fair and stuff, we also promote those with our older adults, and we see a lot of our older adults at those events. So where are we headed? We're looking to expand our current programs, such as adding additional sessions of brain games, that type of thing. You know, we're going to turn the photography group into a photography class with an instructor. We're looking at adding some card games, some additional socials, adding brain games more often. You know, as things have evolved, before, when I was looking at my pictures to do this, it's like masks, no masks, masks, no masks.
Yeah.
And I think that some people, you know, older adults and just society, not everybody's comfortable on going out. You know, we've just changed as a society, not just COVID itself, but safety, crime, those kind of things. So those are things that we have to consider when we're doing programming. So we will keep a lot of maybe our hybrid, our drive-through, our Zoom, all those kind of things, because we want to appeal to a wide variety of audience. And remember, too, that not a lot of our older adults might not be able to get out. I think that COVID has also taken a toll on some of their health, you know, not being able to get out, not to socialize, you know, on their physical health and their independence. So those are things that we are looking to keep in mind. So about, you all know that we're not in our senior center, right? And so we're renting space at the Pierce County Community Center, but has severe water damage, and that is a very unique building, is what I'll say about that. And so about a month ago, they had a beam collapse that's in our our area, and like 2 days prior to that, we pulled all of our computers out of there, because we kept thinking, oh, we're gonna get back. No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're gonna get, repairs. So there's a beam collapse, and we can't even get into there, period. Nobody can get into that section of the building.
And just, 2 days after you pulled it,
Yes.
that's nice. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, because we would have had to just leave our computers there. We would not have been able to go and rescue them. We still have a lot of our other stuff, but, so we are looking at some, we obviously now, we are not getting into that facility for a long time, especially with a beam collapse and the extensive damage and cost that it's going to take. So we are looking at different facilities that we can use. I mean, ideally, we could be in one facility. A model that's here, there, and everywhere is not going to be as successful as being in one location, where if I'm going to an art class, I walk by and I see them having coffee. Well, gosh, what are they doing in there? I want to go have coffee too. So having them in one location, having, it's just a much better model. That would be ideal. We did a facility search project about 5 years ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome. We're going to have the best facility ever. Well, it made me realize how good the facility we did have, because of the exercise room, the room with all of our events, all the different rooms that we could use all at the same time. Because we're so active, we can't have, it doesn't work very well to have one big room. That's just not going to work for us and be ideal. So we would like to be able to have a room where we could have exercise classes. We used to have 8 exercise classes a week. Sometimes it met Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. But with the YMCA in our backyard, it was still one of our most successful programs. I have a background in exercise phys, so of course I'm all about that kind of stuff. And, it just helps them to keep independent, less calls for fire and police, etc. So we're looking to be able to bring back the exercise classes, bring back the art classes, ideally in all one location, ADA accessible, parking lot, lights, safety, all those kind of things. So that's our next mission, is to do that and have a variety of different programs, which are going to look different than what they did before.
There are several churches in town that are closing down, that have got facilities with extra, one big room.
Give me a list of those churches closing down.
Yeah.
One of the things I will say is that I thought, all these businesses closing down, there's got to be great things out there. But like the housing market, the business market also took off. So a lot of those businesses did get snatched up. And people are like, why don't you move into the new the old GI Joes or those kind of buildings? Those don't work. That's one giant building. How can we heat that place? It's ADA accessibility. Modifying those buildings is just not cost effective.
Well, they'd be considered tenant improvements. So you'd go in and basically you have a great shell and it'd be making those improvements, which isn't something that you can't do. It's just it has to be built into your work program and your budget and all of that. So we're going to be creative like we always are and try and figure out. Maybe there are a variety of spaces that we use in the meantime. Back in the day, we used to do all of our programs in the schools. You did 3 of them over at this school, and you did 2 over at this school. It wasn't ideal, but you were able to utilize those spaces for the programs you needed. In that, we have heard from a couple of churches that are interested in, not so much that they're closing, but they could certainly use the rental. So they're interested in that. So we're doing some research regarding that into how we can fit, and that it's a good match, and that it's available for when we need it.
And then staffing too, because there's Debbie and I, so we're going to, run here, there, and everywhere. So that's something to keep in mind too. And location that's in proximity to our older adults, etc. Does anybody have any questions?
So what's Pierce County's goal or plan for that building? Are they going to condemn it, or what are they doing?
I can't speak on that. That's
Yeah.
Pierce County.
There's a
Right.
home run grant request to the feds right now
what caused the water damage?
Just
the roof failed?
Well, one of the things is, the roof and then
The gutters ran
gutters.
through the walls.
mhm.
It was a 1970s, probably very creative at the time system, and so it's just been saturated. And so the gym is still available for use, and they're utilizing it for specialized recreation. That's great. We're partnering in that program too. But it's got lots of challenges, just like the library does. And so they're looking at what the cost is to fix it, to repair the shell and make it strong, and then what should the inside look like. So, even if they had the resources tomorrow, which they don't, that takes time and design and permitting and so we know that even in a perfect scenario with a lot of resources, it's going to take several years to get that back up and going, because it's a great building in a good not a great building, it's a great resource for our community in a location that's very centrally accessible. So if they can pull it off, then it could be a partnership. But in the meantime, we need to move on and carry on, and we need to get the programs back up and going, because again, we need to offset the cost of that operation. We want to serve our older adults. That population changes often, and so we want to make sure that we're finding those folks that need our support in the community, and then getting them connected to the services that are here.
That building also has a really old HVAC system.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've ever been in any of the rooms, but sometimes we would have water coming from the ceiling because the HVAC system, like an extreme heat, and that would freeze up, and then the water would come pouring out.
So I can tell you both from the county and the city standpoint, the county would probably be happy to give it to the city. City council won't take it.
Yeah.
Good.
And because it's a huge liability. So that's a conundrum. And then on the other thing that we've explored years was doing something jointly with the library district. And the kindest thing I can say about the library district is they're a hot mess. And we have acquired property before, tied it up, tried to do something cooperatively, and it's never gone anywhere. So that's not a realistic possibility. One of your suggestions I thought of is look for a church with a gym that's ADA accessible and structurally. That because they're a single use, like a casino or a church, they can't easily be converted else, so there's a market for them. They're not worth what they cost to build them.
We'll keep looking. Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I've been telling people, maybe I'm telling them a lie, but that the county didn't maintain it. Was that true that they?
Well, I think any building of that age, there's deferred maintenance, and, and then the way that the architecture is built, a flat roof in the northwest is a challenge, and then, you have this creative use of systems inside, and, it's expensive, right? So you have priorities for periods of time, so,
The system's all aged out. The HVAC, the electrical, the water.
Okay.
And
they just never
building.
cut it up,
I
did indoor soccer there with my kids who are now 40.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when the outside deck was beginning to fall off.
There's some challenges with the deck, and so they get, it's just a patchwork and a Band-Aid and trying to keep what you have, and, just looking even at the city of Lakewood, we have like a city hall 21 years old, right? At some point, you start MacGyvering things, make it work, and then you have to take a look at how much is it going to cost to repair it. It was built at a time when it worked for what it was for, and now, even here, access, safety, you have the centralized place, you don't see all the wings, you got this front end, the back end, you're using it 1, 2, 3 floor, but the HVAC is east-west. There's just lots of challenges, and so, it was just a box that was, easy to see where all the cracks are, but it's different, so,
The other thing, frankly, Mary can't hear this, is that legislative bodies, councils, generally are really good about finding demand for parts, and for playground equipment or something. When it comes to operations and maintenance, that's gonna be a lower priority than giving money to organizations that support.
I appreciate you saying that, Don. I
That's
appreciate
very
you
true.
saying that, because a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I mean,
So if we got a church, would part of the acquisition be revamping and updating?
Yeah, it's all case specific on your facility.
But I mean, you could ask for that, like that would be part of it.
Well, the city's budgeted, we've rented space, right? We've rented space for the last 15 years. How long have you been doing this? 17 years. COVID's a blur. So we've been renting space, and so, you know, we're not, in our 6-year CIP, we don't have to buy a building or to restore a building for that. That doesn't mean that down the road we can't take a look at that, but it's, you know, it's expensive. It's a funding strategy. What are we not going to do? You know, we have a very robust capital program for parks, so what are we not going to do because we're going to do that? Because we still haven't figured out how to print money in the basement. We're working on it, but there's limited resources, and you have to figure out, you know, we're just one piece of the puzzle, so.
Guys, because very easily that program could have gone away, and you guys kept it alive and kept our senior activities going, and that's hugely important for the community, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a challenge, but we're very creative, and we had to go from 1 month to the next, to 1 week to the next, to 1 day to the next. Mask, no, sorry, we can't meet, so. Having us. And this is Debbie, by the way.
Debbie's been with us for quite a few years too, and she's a great partner in our program. And they all, as we have been through COVID, because there was, you know, they've all been, you know, this is their day job, but also, as she said, everybody's been all hands on deck for just about everything we've done, right? I mean, I don't know if they've mowed the lawns in the parks, but pretty darn close. So we're really grateful for our team. They jump in and do for the good for the community, and they do that every day. So I'd like to see your puppy.
You can't have this one. If you want one, you can have another one, but this is my special.
Well, I'm not taking it. Let's see it.
It's
I
funny,
know the mayor was interested. These are fantastic. I mean, wow.
You know what, Debbie, let's go
Those are
get
really
everybody a
cute.
puppet.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, will you mind?
They all have their own personality, though.
Yeah, they do have their own
And
personality.
so, yeah, they'll be given out during the holiday parade, or maybe for Santa presents, I'm not sure which.
Yeah,
Santa
so
presents
I
would be
think,
good.
there is somebody that's doing a puppet show or something like that at, yeah.
Everybody's gonna be doing a puppet show, because they're all gonna have a puppet. They'll be like,
Well, and it's funny, because I have that puppet sitting on my computer. People are like, what is that?
Get to it. Oh, you did?
Yeah, there we go.
Somebody was working it pretty good.
Not my first puppet show.
Well, I can't wait to get back to Zoom, because I really need it. I can tell the difference. I've not having exercise for 2 years.
Yeah.
Markers.
Poor kids.
Yeah, poor kids. All right.
Takes us on to our work plan review.
I have to excuse myself, I have underserved that, so too.
Thank you, Ellen. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Did you pass out the work program?
It's on the agenda.
Is it on the agenda? Oh, it's on the back page. So I'll just jump in and chat about that. Thanks, you guys don't have to stay, Elizabeth, you can if you want to. So, as you know, every year the city council reviews the work program in January of all of the boards and commissions, and that sets us up for the year. And so, what we've done is put together a draft work program for you to take a look at. Several of the items on this work program, the front page is really just the ordinance to remind you what our purpose is in life, but as you remember, this board serves at the pleasure of the council. They are the people who set your work program. They're the ones that provide direction when we need it, ask us to do special projects mid-year, but so they'll approve our work program. So if you look, I guess, on the very back of your packet, these are issues that we know are coming up. These are also, maybe might be some items that we had hoped to address, last year, but didn't either make it or weren't available when we needed it to, or whatever. Let's just pick one and see what it's all about here. This one feels soft. Oh, that's soft.
Oh,
what my hair used to look like. That's so cute.
We have them on calendar, so.
Okay.
And we've got this, do you have now?
Good night.
Go, Doc. Cute.
Okay, so anyway, so these are the work plan topics that we came up with, and so what we wanted to do tonight is kind of go through what we drafted based on all the information we had, and then there's an opportunity, if there's a topic or something that you think you might want to have us include, we'll chat with council about it. They'll review it, I think it's the second meeting of January, and then they approve it the third meeting, so it'll be ready for our next meeting, which is the fourth week of the month. We'll be ready to confirm that and get going. So, we'll be doing updates on our Nisqually Partnership Project. We talked about that last year, or I guess that's this year. Nisqually Partnership Project, which is really exciting, so we'll provide more information on that. We'll do a park CIP improvement, update, and I think that's in June. We'll talk about equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, ladies. Thank you for your information. The DEI presentation will also include the specialized recreation program that we're partnering with Pierce County. It's really great. Senior Center update, that was tonight. Hopefully we'll come back at the end of next year and give you a whole bunch of new wonderful things we're doing. We'll do a special event update. We know we're doing amazing programs and activities, and so we'll have staff come in and chat about that. The street end project we started on this year, the report done, and basically we're looking at all the street end spots from when we worked on it, I don't know, 15 years ago, 12 years ago. Anyway, we've done an update, we've assessed the sites, we've talked about potential uses and conditions and encroachments, so we'll be bringing that back to you. I think that's the January meeting. Well, we'll talk about that schedule here. We're working on the park sign project. As you know, we kind of went through that, and now we've hired a design team, and we'll talk about that during the director's report, but Vito's working with us on that stakeholder group. Climate change initiatives and the tree preservation, really interesting. We've had some great presentations over the last several years, and so Community and Economic Development, who's leading that course, will come in and give us an update on that and talk about some of the programs and outcomes from that last process, which was just approved. And the city just won an award, I believe. I think we just got recognized last night or sometime earlier, but two awards, yeah, for really being in the forefront of this topic and not waiting until there was a requirement or, you know, a deadline to meet. They were really thinking about it. It takes time, you know. It's very emotional for the community. So they really work through a lot of things. So we'll get some more information on that. And then, you know, the park code or facility naming, those are topics that the council directs us to review when they're ready to. We've done things on dogs and camping and signs and motorbikes and parks, and then, of course, the naming process. So that would be something that we would be done as requested and fit that in with our work program. So we've taken all of those things and kind of spread them out across the year. We think that the dates that are assigned are timely, but, you know, things move around based on, again, trend, issue, immediacy, availability, quorums, and such. You know, we don't have a problem on this board. Some boards have problems with getting a quorum, being able to get through topics. You guys show up, you're here, you work hard, you do study sessions, you do subcommittees, you really do a good job. So we're able to really accomplish a lot with this board throughout the year. So you can see, I'm not going to go through all the dates, but we have laid those topics out throughout the year, and again, work our best in staying on top of this, but also some things could move around, but you'll get updated. And then we just added our special events. Those are all big events and activities, and so you as a park board, some people ask you about them, sometimes you volunteer at them, but we just want to make sure you're in the loop with what's coming up. So did you have any questions about any of the topics? Did you have any topics that you wanted us to ask a question about with council? Because I'll be presenting this, again, first part of January.
Well, you know, you guys know I'm anti-weeds. It's in the climate change initiative, tree preservation. Would it be possible to explore our parks being sort of weed-free? Could we? I don't mean weed-free.
I was going to say 350 acres.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, but what do you mean by weed-free?
I mean, like
an invasive.
Yeah, could we do some sort of programs that really bring that to attention that we're trying to do something? I would love. This is a dream I would love to have, is to bring in like a goat herd for a few weeks and set them there in Fort Silicon Park. People can see the goats, and you know, this is really cool, and other cities have done this, and you just see the goats are eating the invasive weeds, and then they go away. They don't stay there forever, but it just brings that awareness and sort of that feeling like we care about this issue. We don't want to be overrun with ivy and blackberries and Scotch broom in our parks.
Yeah.
I mean, no, we cannot eradicate
Yeah.
weeds.
No, we've been working with a goat person.
Oh, really?
We were gonna do it at Wards Lake, yeah, and
Okay.
it's a challenge to, get them to commit and also to
Right,
have,
it is
to
a
do
challenge.
that, but yeah, so I'm just writing weed-free parks, goat herd,
Weed
and
awareness,
I'm not sure what
weed
the topic
awareness.
is, so I'm not sure it would be a part of that, because that's an ordinance and a real specific program, but, maybe they're even just having a presentation to learn more about it, how,
Yeah,
what some of those systems
or
could be.
just something, yeah.
Yeah,
Something
and
just
you're involved with the,
state
did we lose
noxious
something?
weed control.
Yeah,
Lord.
Call it invasive species.
Yeah, invasive species as well. I mean, there's,
Say weed-free, somebody thinks you're gonna go out
Yeah.
there with,
so invasive
What if
species is
we
a little
kill it?
broader
Yeah.
though, too, and that would be wonderful, because we could learn about, like the zebra mussels, we don't want to get into our lakes, and, you know, that, invasive species, which is, yeah.
got it. Maybe work with you on some
Yeah.
potential speakers or presentations, that'd be great. Any other, topics, anything you think that we should be thinking about yet?
no, it's just be opportunistic. Always great at shepherding grant requests in, but we have, you know, for example, Wards Lake Park, we have a zone change for the house there. First we acquired that, and then acquiring more around other Springbrook. Other opportunities that may come up, the one that's probably the most interest to the council is the Fish and Wildlife boat launch at Camp Murray. That is state land. The military department is not support. Half of our boathouses actually. The military department, National Guard doesn't have any money to do anything with it. There is a lease that Fish and Wildlife wants access to the lake, to the fishery, but they don't have any money to do anything. And it's overpopulated in the summer, by use, and so we're Lakewood, we'd like to provide additional opportunities for people. That would probably be house's mind. And we would like to get some sort of long-term arrangement with the department to control that, perhaps even annex it to Lakewood for public safety issues, park amenities there. Park instead of a. And you had
I think American Lake Improvement Club would also be really interested in helping you with that boat launch.
maybe on there that don't want anybody else on the lake.
Well, nah.
And there's some strategic things you could do now that would put you in line for future grants, right? So you just have to have the right paperwork, so.
Yeah, for example, we can't apply for a grant unless we have long-term interest in the property, so we have to have some sort of signed agreement with the state
Sure.
before we would even apply for a grant.
Or have it transferred to us, and then it would be ours, we can do whatever we. Good.
I just have a request, if we are gonna talk about street ends at a meeting, could we get the information more than a week in advance? That way we have a chance to go out and take a peek again and that sort of thing.
Yes, I would say yes, you'll get it in advance, yes, more than a week in advance, I'll see.
Yeah.
Depends on when the materials are ready, but yeah,
Understood.
yeah.
But just, I remember the last time it was a little cumbersome, and I just wanna make sure
You'll find a
I'm
cardboard
prepared
here
for
and
it.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you that information in advance, so you can take a look at it.
Work plan? Work, thank Thank you.
That was council, see how that fits in there.
Now we roll in the budget.
Okay, I made these packets for you all, killed a couple of trees, so much for climate change. But I'll pass them around if I could. And Mike, if you're on the phone, I texted you a copy of the memo, it's a cover memo, and a link to the budget.
Oh, it's this whole thing?
It's the whole packet, you each get one. Who's one more?
I thought I was gonna take the first page.
No? And, do you know the one there? I sent you a link, and then if you start on page, I think 285, you'll get to where we're going, but I did send you the memo, because I ran back there, because I didn't know you weren't gonna be here, so.
Okay,
So
so
I'm not gonna go,
could you do me a favor and leave a copy of that at the desk and I'll come by and get it?
sure, you bet. And it's online as well, if you just wanna look at the whole document, but it's a pretty cumbersome document, so I tried to summarize it here, but. So just as an overview, I'm going to do big picture overview for you tonight. So the council just last night, so we're kind of waiting to see what happened, but the council just last night approved their budget. We do a biennial budget in Lakewood. That's a 2-year budget. And for the city, we're just finishing up the second year of a 2-year budget, so we're starting next year with our first year of a 2-year budget. County governments and not everybody does a 2-year budget. We chose to do that because it makes a lot of sense. It's great for forecasting, it's great for planning, it's great for partnerships. And honestly, if you have to gear up in June every year, do all that work for a 1-year document, that's a lot of work. So anyway, the county does a 2-year budget now too, and they're just going to be finishing their first year of a 2-year budget. So they're opposite us, so that's how that works. But anyway, so the budget is, besides the comprehensive plan, is really one of the most important documents that the city does. It lays out the plan of action for the next 2 years. It talks about what you want to accomplish, not just how much you're going to spend. Who are you serving? Why are you serving? It really is a document that lays the foundation for the city's priorities and what we want, who we want to be, and where we want to go. We are a balanced budget, that's a requirement, but we are really lucky that we have an amazing finance team. We have a really smart council. We have a city manager that is a finance person. So they really look at these documents. And we get awards for our accounting, which might not sound very exciting, but it's amazing. And there's things you can do right, and there's things that you can do wrong. But we're a balanced budget. Our finances are stronger than ever. There was a period of time when it wasn't that there was anything going on, but the city was, really challenged with intake and outtake, expenses and revenues. And so we've really got we're in a strong place right now. Even through COVID, which nobody knew what was going to happen, during downtime, uptime, we've really done well. And so we're meeting our projections. We're conservative in our expectations, and in the end, we are doing well for the citizens of Lakewood. One of the things that they did note is, with all of the decline of retail sales, nobody likes to go to the stores anymore. They all want to buy on Amazon, or they're doing everything online, and so you do lose some of that local retail sales tax, and so that could affect, down the road. We used to be really heavy on sales tax. That was one of our big revenue sources. So, you're always looking at diversifying. So, but we're keeping an eye on that. I'll go into a little bit regarding staffing, but we're lucky that our programs are sustaining. We're able to do what we did last year and do more. Regarding our positions, we kind of over the year, we've sort of formalized some of our positions. We drive accounting and HR and all the payroll crazy because we're not 9-to-5 engineers, right? We have part-time staff, seasonal staff, temporary staff, regular staff, contract staff. So we're always trying to be as creative as we can with the resources that we have and utilizing the folks that we need when we need them. So we did sort of formalize some things like our human services coordinator. It's a woman right now. She was working for CDBG full-time. Her contract ran over, but she had a little bit more work to do there. We had the need for human services program management, and then we are overseeing Lakewood's Promise. So, we were kind of putting all those together, and we made it make sense on a org chart. Our capital projects coordinator, we had a half-time person doing all the capital projects, and we were drowning. And so, fortunately, we had the resources we built up over a couple of years, and we're able to have a full-time capital projects person, which still is pretty minimal for millions of dollars of the projects that we're doing, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have. And then our maintenance assistants. So, maintenance assistants and maintenance workers. We have maintenance workers in the city. If you work in streets, you're a maintenance worker. If you're working in the facilities, you're a maintenance worker. If you're working in parks. The reason that we do that is so that we can be really flexible and utilize the workers that we have. Now, when I'm hiring you, you're kind of hired with the primary purpose of parks, and when I hire you, your primary purpose might be facilities. But we do, make use of the resources that we have for the work that needs to be done. So we were able to take some of our maintenance assistants, which were 3/4 time, and add some hours to them to make them full-time, and then we reduced that, and we added here, and then we were unfroze one position that had been floating for 2 years, so we're really grateful that we were able to unfreeze that position, and then we added a maintenance worker. So that's really going to help us because we know our programs are growing. The maintenance on the street, landscaping is growing, the people coming to the parks is growing, and then, of course, just dealing with facilities that are 21-plus years old. So anyway, we're really grateful that we're able to maintain and sustain our workforce and get that work done. This is big picture. We are not a $64 million Parks Department, but this is revenues for the city. So I just pulled these right out of the budget document. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I just want to let you know it's a balanced budget. We don't spend more than we have revenues coming in. But this is just to show you big picture in the city where things are going from. Anyway, so you can look through that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. If you turn the page over, you can see this is the expenditure for all of city operations. And this includes, all of our departments, IT, and then the other operational costs that we have. So really, if you look big picture, we're a $120 million program, but not all of it's general fund. Some of it's obligated funds or specialty funds that can only be used for certain things. So we primarily all fit within the general fund, which is this year $48 million project. So again, how do we do that? How does the city be as strong as it is? It's that the council approved really important financial strategies, and that every dollar that we spend, if we're going to get a grant, if we're going to buy a truck, if we're going to buy a new building, we see how does it fit within our financial priorities. So one is that we always have 2% in reserves for the of the general fund. We always have a 5% fund balance in our reserves so that, we're not living paycheck to paycheck. And then we have 5% in strategic reserves so that we can really have resources to do some of the opportunistic things that come up or some of those big planned projects that are coming up. So 5 plus 5 plus 2, so we have 12%, in reserves to take care of business on those rainy days.
So, say one thing. What we do here with great staff and really good financial management from the finance department and all the department heads really, is that we actually follow our own rules, which say you have one-time money used for one-time expenses. You see how much it's going to cost you in the future. You have a 6-year projection and make sure that your reserves don't dip. You don't play with the revenue projections. You do it conservatively. Some legislative bodies, Washington State Legislature is a great one for this. They just automatically increase their revenue projection if they don't have enough money. Say, well, maybe it'll come in. We don't do that. And one thing you're going to hear in the next couple of years is COVID cliff. There'll be all sorts of nonprofit organizations and governmental bodies that are going to be in a world of hurt because they got used to spending a lot of easily printed money and they can't sustain it.
Yeah.
That won't happen here. We are not doing anything that would cause an ongoing obligation to the city. So we'll weather that, but we see it coming, and so you have to watch out for it.
and one of the things that we do here is that just about everybody in this room or in this building, and especially in our department, is they treat every single city dollar like it's their own. They are frugal, they are resourceful, they try and match a dollar for a dollar. They look to get the right price for things. So I think that's how we've been able to do as much as we've been able to do with the resources that we have. So that's really great. And now jumping into more specifics for Parks and Recreation, just because that's kind of what you care most about, is that, you know, our goal is to create a healthy and safe and vibrant community. And then we do that in a lot of different ways. We want to create a community that feels inspired and engaged and welcome. We want people to feel like they have a voice in their city, but also in the fun things that they do and the things that they don't do. And so we work really hard to do that and to make everyone feel welcome. I'm on the second page or third page of your packet. So there's just a summary of what we do. We preserve and maintain parklands. We do public buildings. We work with street signs and signals. Not so much signals. We got rid of that. Yay! We contract with the county on that. We work on all the landscaped areas and open spaces. We want to enhance the beauty and the positive image of the city of Lakewood. You know, the city worked really hard on the perception, and I think that's changing, so that's great. But we really want people to walk in or drive in and play in Lakewood and think it's a really great community. We want it to be safe. We have a zillion partnerships. We have a comprehensive system of programs and facilities and services. Sometimes we provide it. Sometimes we partner to have it happen, and sometimes we say that's just not what we do, but here, Jason's doing it over here. We recommend you try that. So, again, we want the comprehensive system to be in Lakewood. It doesn't mean we have to do it all. We focus on our human service needs. We manage that. Programs Council is looking at, you know, how they support the agencies that support our most vulnerable populations. And again, that's a good bang for our buck. We get a lot of return on our investment for that. And again, we just contribute to a vital Lakewood. We encourage economic development. A lot of what we do contributes to that. We create neighborhood identity. We do prevention programs. We want to do positive health programs, and we just do our best for the quality of life for our citizens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks
all you
for
do.
being here, Mayor, or I keep calling you Mayor,
Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson.
13 months.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, member. Thanks for being here. Our department, we support actually, this is 5 advisory boards. There's actually 6 because I also support the American Lake Improvement Club, which isn't necessarily, it's kind of a quasi-city advisory board, but we manage these advisory boards, and we do a really good job with that. And so that's why we keep getting more, I guess. So, but anyway, they really support all of our different operations, and they all do different kinds of things. You can see our goals and objectives, and they're all listed out, and they meet the council's goals and objectives, which meet the goals and objectives in our legacy plan. It all comes together, and if it's not in our plan or it's not a council goal, we probably shouldn't be doing it. It might be a great idea. It might be kind of a nice thing to do, but it needs to be strategic and part of our city goals and objectives, so we continue to do that. And then over the years, we've certainly built a robust capital improvement program. We also do facility capital improvements, but really we focus on our parks. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that tonight, but we're going to do a big update for you. I think it's in June, so. So you have a whole packet here. Just wanted to start off with it's page 87, section 3, whatever, but it's our org chart. You can see how we've built. We do a lot with a little. We do a lot with a few people.
I remember when it was only like 3 or 4 boxes.
Yeah.
Larry, so I kind of looked at it and I'm like, wow.
But we do an awful lot with the
enough.
resources that we have. We do it by working together, and we do it by having really great staff that know what they're doing and they can get the job done. So you can just see how it's outlined here. We have parks, and we have community services, and we have operations, and so we do a lot of different things. So there's that. We switch the page over. I'm not going to go into all of these, but it's showing you over 21 and 22, which was a challenging time for the universe. We have a lot of accomplishments. You can read all the things that we worked on, and you guys touched base on so many of these, so if you go through here, you'll go, oh, yeah, we worked on that program. Oh, yeah, I attended that event. Oh, yeah, that was really a cool anniversary party. We got a lot done. And so just read through there and kind of go, wow, I live in a super cool city, and when I say I mean you folks, you can sit there and say, I contributed to this, I helped make this happen, I designed this, I changed this, I added to this, I appreciated it, I was concerned about it, we do it all. So you guys are in the game. So thank you for that. And then we have really what are some of our key anticipated projects that are going to be coming up. Again, our capital projects are time-consuming and amazing and growing. We used to do $250,000 projects, and now they're $2.5 million to $6 million projects. We really have been looking through an equity lens. We want to make sure that we're not just doing everything at Fort Silicon Park just because it's the biggest place and it's the shiniest place and everybody loves it, but there's a lot of places in Lakewood that need support. And so we really look equitably across the community to make sure that we're making improvements in those places that need those improvements because the individuals that are living near there don't have access to things, or they need to be updated so that they're safe and great places to visit. So we're always looking at that. We've really been working on our outdoor adventures. We have great parks, so let's use them as outdoor spaces and let people feel welcome in them, and also help people learn how to use them because, not everybody knows how or feels safe in a park site. So we want to make sure that they know how to use those spaces and they can have fun while they're doing it. Really been focusing on our youth council. Our youth summit last year was fantastic, and we're going to keep working on that and really giving them the voice. Our youth council individual just left, but we have a really amazing. The youth councils are just getting more and more mature. They're not just showing up and volunteering at events. They really have a voice. They have needs and concerns and ideas, and they're just great to work with. Again, supporting our partners. We still have a lot of projects that we're working on. Again, moving forward, we thought we were done with park signs. Now we're going to do a little bit more comprehensive park signs. Street ends coming back, but they're going to come back differently than they have in the past. So you'll see that when we bring them forward. And then, like I said, there's tons of pages in here. There's a whole section that shows you how we align with council goals and how they meet the different, economic development, dependable infrastructure, public safety, fiscal responsibility, and transparency, that they meet all of their goals. And then just, what's mandated. People used to say, oh, it's Parks and Recreation and that fund. So it is important to a community. Some things we do are absolutely legal mandates, like maintaining your infrastructure. That's a legal mandate. Having special events and farmers markets isn't a legal mandate, but it's super important, right? You're serving your community. You're bringing resources to folks that don't need them with the partnerships with WIC and SNAP and the senior checks. You're giving folks the ability to come and get really wonderful produce and food at, reduced rates. Also, those farmers and those individual small businesses, a lot of even just at the farmers market, some of those individuals that started at the farmers market have brick and mortar stores now in Lakewood. They started at the farmers market and they were so successful and created a client base, they could build a business. It's like buying a little starter home, right? You can slowly move to something different. So it's really been great. So you can look at all that. Then there's a lot of pages here. I'm not going to go into all of them, but you can see the additions that happen throughout the year, like, there's some improvements. Our budgets went up for water. Our budgets needed to go up for electricity. The more people that are there, the more toilets that are flushing, or the electricity expenses have gone up. We have to repair and replace things. So those things are in here, and they can just show you the changes. I have to tell you that Ta Kraus, our finance director, she is the most transparent person I've ever seen. If we spend it, not in this city, but in other cities, you'd show up at the grant table and all of a sudden there's 3 new people here, expenses that had gone there, and it was like, when did that get approved? Who was looking at that stuff? There is not a dollar spent that is not listed in here. Every dollar that's spent, and it's really not. It's done in a really simple way to follow, but also a very comprehensive way. Nikki will tell you, it's like it's June, and I'm like, we got approved for something. How much did we get approved for? And it's like we just go back to these budgets, and it's really, it's not just, it was one little thing in the middle of $100,000 budget, it was like, no, you got $20,000 to go look at this sign or to do this reader board, and it's listed really clearly, so it helps us do our jobs better. Because I gotta tell you, it's a lot of moving parts. And then you'll go into, each division. You can see, all of our staff, you can see, all of the divisions. There's a department overview. I'm just gonna let you go through this on here too, but there's like, here's administration. What's administration do? It's pretty much just me. I'm administration and all the boards and the commissions and the grants and the things that we do. Then we have human services and what that's all about, who we serve and why we do it, and what the funding level is for that. Then you have recreation again. What's the description of it? What are our objectives and how much we're spending? And then you have a history, what we had in 2020, what we had in 2021, what we updated for this year, because, you start with one and then you might have to add a little because you got a grant or you got a special program. So you have that history report. Senior services, you just heard about that tonight. Park maintenance, street operations, swim operations, and at the very end, we've got property management, which is our building. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't really think you wanted to go into every page. It's interesting, it's easy to read, it's really what we do. Yeah, so, and it is online, so if you're interested in looking at online, you can look at the whole city. So if you're wondering what they're doing in legal, what they're working on in human resources, what does community and economic development even mean? You can look at what they're working on, and, some things take a lot of time, and some things happen pretty quickly. So, you can just get a better idea of what we're working on, so. I know it's a lot to take in. Yeah.
Mary, this is Mike. You don't have to leave me a packet. It's all on Suburban Times.
Oh, okay, there you go. Does it link you right to the city?
There's an article that says that they passed the budget, and then there's a link, and it's got all 600 and whatever 1,000 pages there are.
Yep, there you go. And we started on page 285, so you could go look at that, and you'll see where it's all Parks and Recreation. Well, actually, you've got your hand in a lot of pots, so you'll probably just have to read the whole document, Michael. Find out all the things that you're involved with and what you're doing.
Little light
Okay.
reading.
I'm gonna have to sign off. My wife needs to do something with South Korea with some documents and stuff.
Okay,
Thank you, Michael.
great. Thank you, Michael.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Anyway, so just have a chance to read it, and you can always bring something up at the meeting, or if you've read something in the Sub-Times, or you're looking through something, just bring it up, and we'll, do our best to get you the information you need.
Thank you.
Sure,
Nice
so-
job.
Yeah, pure performance measures, is your, My Lakewood 311 still active? Is it still increasing? Is it leveled off?
Oh, gosh, it's always increasing, because the more people know about it, the more
About it,
people
the
are
more-
using it. I will tell you, though, the thing with My Lakewood 311, sometimes you're your own worst enemy. We are, I think of all the departments in the city, the most responsive.
Okay.
I think we're at like 96% response, but we're living and dying off of 311. It's not so much in parks, it's really more street maintenance.
Right.
So, the biggest thing is garbage pickup. We're finding people are using it where they're just throwing their crap in the right of way and then putting in 311, oh, come pick up my couch, or I saw a TV in the right of way. And so our people are, and we're gonna take a pretty hard look at that, because it's like you can't get to a work program when you're running around town picking up couches and TVs and garbage. And
There's
it
a
used to be,
mattress right across from Idlewild Elementary School.
yeah, and it probably started, I see these people drive down the road, and I'm like, where is that gonna land? It starts, you can see it on the side of someone's house, and then you drive by tomorrow, and it's right by the edge, and then the next 3 days, it's in the right of way. And it's really unfortunate, because, people don't wanna pay for going to the dump, they don't have a truck to go to the dump, so they just throw it in the right of way, and they expect the city to come pick it up. And we don't want junk laying in the right of way, so, we have this program, but well over 2,000, and we're down to we have 5 staff, and we're down to 2 people, right? One person came and it's like, all you guys do is pick up garbage. That's not what I signed up to do, and wanted to move on. So, and, maybe there's other reasons, but that's a problem. But are we doing it? Absolutely. Are we meeting our expectations? But it's not getting less.
So what's an idea for helping? Because you're right, that's absolutely what's happening. People are just throwing it over.
And so a couple things is, they say, what's the carrot, what's the stick? So, you know, from an enforcement perspective, I can watch you dump your stuff and get your license plate, take a picture of you, call the police, and it's like, if they don't see you doing it, and how do they know you were really the driver?
Yeah.
Like, maybe someone borrowed your car, they're not gonna do
Yeah.
anything.
Right.
So from an enforcement perspective, unless someone's driving right by, we used to have hot spots, and now the hot spots are all over the place, right? Because it's so regular. The idea is like, maybe we could work with LeMay, maybe they could, you know, go and do pickup when people do that. Maybe it doesn't have to be the city doing it every Friday, because that's kind of what we do, Friday's sort of garbage day, unless it's, you know, really in the middle of the roadway.
Well,
You know.
promoting that, twice a year pickup with the recycling is really good,
Yeah.
but getting that message out, you know, I hear about it and I go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But,
And then not getting it, and the numbers have been, the one year we sent a postcard to every single household, it was it was a beautiful weekend, it was so overwhelmed, but then people were showing up with literally giant U-Hauls full of stuff. And so they'd be up taking a spot for 30 minutes trying to unload it. And, you know, maybe they were driving around the community picking it up for all their neighbors. Maybe they were, you know, one person from a church getting it from all their parishioners. But it was, and so then they had to switch it to say, okay, no more commercial, no, you can't be there, you know, don't bring a load bigger than this, no box trucks. And then numbers went way, way, way down. So, and maybe it wasn't being as promoted. So, and not to say that it's monsoons the last 2 times we did it, so it's tough. It's tough, but we're gonna take a look, you know, bring like the police and code enforcement and, you know, so, and then on top of that, you have homeless camping cleanup, so, you know, it's a lot. So how do we create a beautiful community, but have people be responsible
It
for their
almost
own
seems like it
stuff?
doesn't belong to parks, you have to do that.
Well, there's a lot of things that
Yeah, I know.
don't belong.
Parks becomes the default, Parks is the default
But I mean, this
department.
is growing
It's not another
bigger.
spot.
But we manage
Yeah.
street maintenance,
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
street
yeah.
maintenance workers that go out and take care of that because they have dump trucks and backhoes, and, you know, you're not gonna send the police department out to do
Do
it.
you send the street sweepers out?
Yeah,
Is that
and
you-
it never occurred to me to call it in, but like I said, we've driven past that mattress, this big blue mattress that's right on the right of way, right across from Idlewild School. And I've driven past it like 3 times on the way to church.
Yeah, it'll probably be gone on Friday because, or maybe, I think we're off Friday, but typically someone puts a 311 in
But who would
finally
drop a mattress, who
everywhere.
would drag a mattress out and
Well,
throw it
the
in
one
the
thing
all
is
the time?
LeMay loves them because so we don't have a dump here in Lakewood, we have a transfer station, which
Right.
means, you know, it's for garbage trucks only, it's not for individuals to use except for on cleanup day. But LeMay loves mattresses because they take their backhoe at the end of the night and they grab the mattress like a sponge and they, it's the tiniest mattress I've ever seen. And they wipe it down and then they dump it in the thing. It's the way so they lean all the mattresses against the wall and at the end of the day they take it and wipe it like a sponge.
That's perfect.
Amazing.
It's interesting.
Amazing.
So we're, you know, and we, based on our franchise, we're able to bring all of that stuff to them, to dump it for free, because it would be ridiculously,
Yeah.
I mean, it is ridiculously expensive because they weigh it, measure it, and at some point it gets recorded, and then it's like your rates go up, right? You're all paying for it, but, so anyway, we're working on it, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
It's a challenge. So,
Good work, thank you.
Yeah, this is really good, thank you. This is a great report.
good, thanks.
It's gonna be,
And again, you can get into a lot more detail if you look on the city website. There's a lot more detail on all the departments and even a whole nother section on us. I just gave you the stuff that was most, I think, easiest to digest, so.
Right, on to board member comments. Any comments for the good of the order?
I was just gonna show you one thing
Oh,
on
we have
here.
director's
That's
report.
okay.
I didn't see it on the agenda.
It's so
Wow.
bright blue, how did you miss it?
Yeah,
Oh, it's not on the
exactly.
agenda. Maybe I forgot it. Oh, it's not on the agenda, sorry. Couple things, city manager, or the, council member Anderson, noted that, 2 things. One is we're doing yoga and meditation in the park. I don't know if you've seen it, but we've been just promoting it like crazy. And I actually had some folks, when I was at the Silicon, Kiwanis doing a presentation last week, they asked about it. So we've turned the pavilion into like a yoga studio, and so it's being used all the time, but like all of the facilities in Lakewood, you know, then we tore it down. You can do meetings, and you can still have activities there, but it's being used on a regular basis. And so, we got 2 different donations from, hospital and Amazon or something, and they're helping to offset the cost of it, so you can do it really, really cheap. It's free, meditation, and then we're gonna start doing wellness walks once a quarter, just to give people an opportunity to get out and meet. You know, we have a very transient population. People are coming and going all the time. How do you meet people? How do you get involved in your community? So we're really working on that. And, you know, COVID there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of anxiety in the world, and the kids are sharing it with us. And so how can we get together and just, you know, some people might think it's kind of woo-woo-woo, but it's really breathing, it's centering, it's really helping you just, you know, deal with all that's going on in the world. I mean, all that's going on in the world is just crazy. So anyway, how we can come together as a community and be safe.
So
City is working.
Are they welcome walks or wellness walks?
Welcome walk. Did I write wellness?
No, you wrote welcome, and then
Welcome walk.
you said
We want
wellness.
everybody to be welcome.
Okay.
So, and it's just a kind of a new thing. We're working on, you know, is there a way that we can do like a newcomers club or, you know, you're new to the neighborhood, find out about resources. And so we're working on, you know, and then Fort Silicon is such an amazing place to be. You can walk, you know, we're in Washington, we walk all year long. And so just another way of giving the people, a family or an individual an opportunity to come. A welcome walk. Oh, it's free. Maybe I'll go there and try it, and maybe they'll meet a new friend or be able to just come and have a place to go when they're new. And I'm not sure how they'll expand from there, but right now I think we're doing them quarterly, right, Nikki? Are we doing them quarterly, or are we doing them monthly?
I think our kickoff's supposed to be in
January 6th, or 14th. Yeah, 14th. So we'll do one in January, and I think it's quarterly, but maybe it's monthly, I don't know. But anyway, I'll send you some information on it. Then the connections will be out soon. Historic Fort Silicon, the city is talking to Historic Fort Silicon about how we might partner with them, you know, that they have all those buildings over there, and, you know, the Western State Hospital's primary goal is not to restore and steward old buildings. And so how can the city help them just maintain those structures and have them be a good, positive resource for the community? So we're kind of chatting about that right now. Like, we've got the land that is Fort Silicon Park, maybe there's ways that we can support them. And then we just got all of our lodging tax grants approved last night, and they're you know, really recognizing the importance of the events that we do, and so you can see those events that we received resources for. And as I noted earlier, with the senior center program, senior services program, I guess we don't have a center, is that we do have a 45% cost recovery. So, and we've been meeting it every year since they made us get it. You know, when community development was required to have, I think they have like an 89% cost recovery. You know, Parks and Recreation, you guys need to cover your bases, which we do. We get lots of donations, lots of partnerships, tons of in-kind. But we have a 45% cost recovery, and we've been doing it every year. But those grants really help us meet those requirements so that we can just do more for our community without having to charge more, because it's expensive to do programs and services. And if you were to charge the full cost to come on a welcome walk, you know, someone might not show up, right? So we make it free or very low cost so that it's accessible for everybody, and then find the people that can help us sponsor that, like the hospitals and partners. So we've got lots of great partners in the community, so that's all.
I had one comment. I've noticed the sandwich boards being out. It seems like more in the last 6 months, and I don't know if it's just the routes I drive, but I feel like the message is getting out. And I mean, I see them and I turn them, and you know, it helps me, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we work really hard on that. We're constantly doing signs and changing, because we have heard from our people, because we survey people everywhere, that that's where they get their information, is like the politically kind of signs, not when the political signs, but those like the signs, because the sandwich boards and then the little corrugated boards that we do, they help people remember, they help people know. We do some flashy light signs sometimes if it's a big thing, but yeah, good, thank you. But it's a lot of work to keep those up. People steal them and they run over them, and
I guess my feedback, so I moved here, back up here from this little tiny town. It's called Canby, Oregon. It's like 30 minutes outside of Portland. And when I first moved there, I thought, oh, maybe I'll join their Parks and Rec. You know, I don't think they had one, but and just watching, you know, like the community page and stuff like that. it's just so impressive that the city of Lakewood is so forward-thinking. You know, not only with, you know, how just awesome this budget thing is, but I was reading in like the drone thing that you guys did for Summerfest. You know, I'm just starting to hear about drone, you know, fireworks, but you guys have already done it.
Yeah, we had to do a fireworks study last year for
Yeah.
council, and I just was like, blowing up so much stuff in the
Yeah.
universe. Yeah, it was an option that came around, and we did more research, and I gotta tell you, it was hard to find a group. There was a group that was trying to get a lot of money from us, and it was a total scammer. And so I'm looking at it, it's like, I don't like that contract. That
Yeah.
contract's weird. It gives me
Yeah.
creeps. Go investigate it. And it was a scam.
Ended up
And
being
so
a scam.
it was our second or third person we finally found. And
Wow.
and we were kind of a little bit like, oh, please show up and be real. And they were great to work with, and so they'll be back. So.
Right, so that's,
Thank
I
you.
mean, and then, you know, just the environmental, the climate change thing is, I just know that in that little town that I was in, very conservative, none of these things would be considered at all. I know that their city council was not in any sort of, you know, way to be organized or good. And as a matter of fact, when COVID hit, the mayor down there was going to businesses telling them, stay open, don't worry about masks, don't worry about anything. And I'm reading up here where you guys are setting up, you know, COVID testing sites and all of this, you know, and down there it was like, no, we're just denying it all. And, you know, you guys are doing welcome walks down there. They're like, those people from Portland are moving here. You know, so it's just not, they're, you know, the open-mindedness and everything. So it's just such a nice, fresh air. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you back on the board, and that's.
What's that?
We're happy to have you back
Oh,
on the
happy to
board.
see you too. That was really,
Yeah.
interesting.
All right, with that being said, you all have a happy Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Do not meet in December.
Correct?
Right, nope, and we will see you guys on January 24th. I would entertain a motion.
Like one
please.
read.
Make a motion
Oh,
to
you're
adjourn.
Sylvia, thank you. You know they'll be fighting if
I was gonna say.
Triple family
you
with a
got
bunch
two
of
for the
kids, I know.
Okay, good.
I have Vito with the first. Yep.
And second.
Vanessa, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all, unanimous approval.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving
you all.
all.
Happy
Lots to be
Thanksgiving.
thankful for.
This is interesting reading, actually.
Unfortunately, my granddaughter's in Italy, so yeah.
Oh.